kind of random.
What up, y'all? I am your host, Vegas, and this is another Hip Hop Now podcast bonus episode brought to you by the producers of this podcast over at patreon.com/hiphopnow. You know what it is. It is Grammy season. Now, some people, that triggers a lot of hate. Drake, bars. For others, it means that these albums, songs, whatever, are validated by their dopeness. Now, if you've been listening to me on Hip Hop Now podcast for years, or even a little bit of time, at least a year, you already know I don't watch award shows. I'm not on an active boycott. It's just that they stopped being important to me, and in a lot of ways, they stopped being entertaining, and they're just too damn long. That's just the facts. And we live in an age where, honestly, I get the information I need, right? Nominees, winners, highlights. Anything crazy happen is all over social media. I don't have to even go look for it. So that's dope. And every year I do a podcast episode on the Grammys. Why? Because I feel like it's a little significant, you know? For years, the Grammys has been looked at as the ultimate music award show. Having a Grammy not only meant that you probably won the most prestigious award there is. It's kind of like, you know, there's the Actors Guild Awards, and then there's the Oscars, right? You can debate on which one you really care about, but everybody knows the Oscars is the one that's the most prestigious. To most people, not to just actors, but to most people. That's the perception. Well, in regards to the Grammys, it's the same thing. And regardless of what hip-hop fans will tell you today and yesterday, they still somewhat care. Now, we're not talking about under the underground rappers who hope that their favorite artists, who no one knows, which is nothing wrong with that, but their favorite artists who no one knows, who dropped an album that wasn't as great as they think they deserve the Grammy nod. Now, the one thing about the Grammys, and it also is the same with the Oscars, is when you're an artist, to say that you are a Grammy-nominated artist, it's just as big as saying you're a Grammy winner. Now, obviously, Grammy winners are much higher, but if you could settle for Grammy-nominated, it's a bargaining chip, right? For you with your label, depending on how your deal was set up. For you, when you go to other labels, it's like a stamp of approval to say that you've created art that touches the masses, you know, that's of a certain level. Now, we know when it comes to hip hop, the hip hop category has been hit or miss for years, mostly miss. But in recent years, in particular last year, but definitely in recent years, the categories have been a little bit more along the lines of what most hip-hop fans think. And I'm talking in particular about album of the year, best rap album, that's what they call it, that category. Especially last year. Now, last year, Nas won his first Grammy for best album for King's Disease with him and Hit Boy, right? Big thing. I called it. Stop it. I did. But nevertheless, this year feels just like last year as the nominees, for the most part, I think last year was a little bit closer, but for the most part, are along the lines of what most people think are some of the best rap albums of the year. Now, obviously, they got to sneak a couple here and there in there that really most hip-hop heads are not calling an album of the year. But the majority of it is there. And for me personally, it is. I'm going to be doing a best of the year episode. And then I'm going to also do a top 5 of the year episode. So stay tuned for that. But let's talk about the Grammys nominations for Best Rap Album. Now, there is one album on here that has been actually pulled from this category, and that's Drake's Certified Lover Boy. I think it's actually he pulled all of his nominations or withdrew his nominations. So therefore, same thing, right? So therefore, he won't win because of that. I don't know the reasoning. It seems to be more about boycotting the Grammys, I believe, but that's kind of weird because you have to apply for these categories. So maybe Drake gave his blessing to apply and then he decided to pull it back. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. You know, somebody filled out the application to suggest his album for Best Rap Album, and to have him pull it just seems weird, but whatever. So even though it was nominated for Best Rap Album, it is no longer in the category, which makes this list and my prediction more interesting, but my pick is my pick. So, according to the Grammys, the nominees for Best Rap Album are J. Cole's The Off Season, Nas's King's Disease 2, Tyler the Creator, Call Me If You Get Lost, and Kanye West's, or you can call him Ye now, Donda. Now, I'm going to speak more on these albums in my future episodes, as a couple of these albums are, to me, best of the year and within my top 5 so far, but I think they're going to make it. Who do I think is going to win? Now, originally, when Drake was in this category, I had the eerie feeling that he might win. But I don't think he's the person that deserves to win, and I don't think he's the person that is going to win, even if he was in the category. I think regardless if Drake is in it or not, Tyler, the Creator, Call Me If You Get Lost should be Best Rap Album and walk away with the Grammy. Why I say that? Because it is, without a doubt, the one album that when I heard it, and I said this about a couple of other albums, but my thoughts have waned here and there on the other albums in my top 5. But this is the one album I said, that album's not moving on my top 5. Because it's just good. It's just good on all levels, on a hip-hop level, on a musical level, right? It's just great music. You know, it makes you feel like Tyler was in a really great creative space when he created this. Like sometimes you can get when someone is in a good vibe when recording an album. You know, you could tell the ideas were flowing as far as, you know, what to write about, what skits to add, you know, what beats to choose, you know, what flow to use here and there. It seemed really inspired, and I think it should be Best Rap Album. Now, why would it beat those others? Well, let me tell you. J. Cole's The Off Season was a really dope album. The energy, knowing that it was coming out, people crossing their fingers, hoping it's not going to be whack, hoping you get something close to 2014 Forest Hills Drive. And what was better than that was it wasn't a part 2 to that, but it was a dope album to add to his catalog. And to me, definitely one of the best of the year. But I think a lot of people forgot about it. And that's not nothing on the album being whack. Cause you know, some people say, oh, if you forgot about it, that means it was really whack. No, that just means we live in a time where we get so much music and movies, video games and other distractions that unless an album is the only album we listen to anyway, we could easily forget about what was great about this year. There's a ton of albums that dropped that are just as good, that people were, streaming over earlier in the year that they forgot about. So I don't think it's better than Tyler's album, but I think it belongs on this list. King's Disease 2. I definitely believe that this belongs on this list because it's somehow better than King's Disease 1. Now, that doesn't make King's Disease 1 whack. It doesn't mean, well, King's Disease got a Grammy, so if 2 don't get one, then how can it be better? No. It just means that somehow Nas and Hit Boy did it again, and they raised the bar just a little bit more. I think the subject matter, I think the first King's Disease felt more like Life is Good Part 2. Mature Nas, King's Disease 2 is some of that, but it's also a lot more character to the songs. Like Death Row East, a topic on the internet that got a little crazy, and Nas puts out an album that we didn't even know was coming, and he addresses it in a full song. And you're getting to hear it from his perspective as opposed to Snoop's or one of Pac's cousins or somebody else that was there. It's just a dope album. So it definitely belongs here, but I still don't believe it's better than Tyler, the Creator's album. Donda is not good for a couple of reasons. Donda is a bloated album. The one song that needed to be on there wasn't on there until he released the deluxe. And when he released the deluxe, I think it went from like 28 songs to like 30 something. Overcrowded, oversaturated. For an album that's dedicated to his mother, it's just weird. It's like there's songs I like, but fatigue sets in on that album quick. And just like J. Cole, but probably worse than J. Cole, people forgot about it quick as well. And it just is what it is. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that what Kanye needs is to submit that Donda album, right, that he did with that many songs, to a person outside of his mental that can pick the best records and say, this is your album. 14 songs, 12 songs, whatever it may be, 10 songs. Because I think if he trimmed it down to 10, let's say 10, it would be a way better album. Because there's some songs on there that are good, but it's just too much. And to me, there's no way it should even be in this best rap album category. It feels like a political move to, bring intrigue to the best rap album category, because, now you can invite Kanye and you're hoping he shows up and does something crazy, right? So I think Tyler, the Creator, again, deserves best rap album from the Grammys. The Grammys actually go down in 2022, so we'll see who the actual winner is. But I want to pose this question to you, the listener. Who do you think deserved to have best rap album for 2021? And I'm talking hip hop. I'm talking about everything that came out this year. Wasn't any of these albums that were on the list? Is any of the albums from that year that you've heard and you love but didn't make it, Leave your comments in the comment section below, or you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Clubhouse, whatever it may be, at Vegas World INC, and let me know your thoughts there. Until next time, y'all, this podcast is available wherever you get podcasts. And remember, I am not a critic, I'm a fan. Peace. Drop it on the random.